Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Elliot here. Elliot, you come from a pretty amazing family in the world of entertainment, and it's great that you're really building out your own niche and you're finding something that's yours. With Wolf Games, you're building this amazing gaming, studio, this company that is going to produce some incredible stuff around that's like around pretty much elevating the cinematography in this category and just making it so much better, making cinematic gaming experiences and bringing that all to life. And you've got an amazing set of advisors and team backing you. You've got a game that you guys have just pretty much put out around all of this. It's exciting, and I'm just looking forward to getting to your journey here. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat about all of it.
Cool. So just kind of like going back to the beginning, like, what was it like growing up kind of in this category in the world of entertainment? Like, how did that shape what you want to do? And how did you kind of figure out the direction you want to go and being exposed to so much, I'm sure at a young age and so many influential leaders in this area?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be in entertainment. My childhood, I jumped around a lot. So a lot of people assume I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I'm actually not. I was born in LA and then jumped around quite a bit from New York to Connecticut, went to boarding school in Western Massachusetts, and wasn't really surrounded by entertainment folks and the industry for the majority of my childhood. Uh, Obviously, spent time on set, and I'm very close with my dad, but did not grow up in the entertainment bubble, as you might refer to it outright.
Mm.
So, with that in mind, always really loved storytelling, but definitely had a sense of business as well, and uh, wanted to pursue that in some capacity. In earlier years, my first internships were actually in music, and
No.
then I started screenwriting, and I took a couple screenwriting courses in college, and I was like, as cliche as this might sound, I really do love this. So after college, I went to the University of Pennsylvania in Philly. Was probably one of a handful of folks that I knew there that were actually making the jump out to LA. It's a very finance and business focused school. So I'd say the majority, if not far majority, of my friends at the time were moving to New York and pursuing some sort of job in finance or venture. And I made the jump, and my first job was at William Morris Endeavor, and started in the mailroom, and then got on a scripted television desk, and that was sort of the start of what is now a decently long story, at least.
So you really started in the mailroom there.
Yeah, started in the mailroom. I was in the mailroom actually for, I think it was 3 or 4 months. When you're starting at a talent agency, you start with a group of people, and usually that's around 10 people. I was starting in the summer, so my class was almost entirely fresh graduates. And I was actually the second to last one left in that class in the mailroom that had not found a desk yet, because I was really holding out for a scripted TV desk. I knew that's the department that I wanted to work in. So I was holding out for that, and luckily found the desk with a great agent who had actually just come over from Paradigm. I was his first assistant there. So went through the process of setting up his desk with him, and it was a great experience to be working for someone who was also sort of coming in with fresh eyes to the company.
How do you think that your dad kind of helped shape your like entrepreneurial path? Like, what were some ways that maybe he influenced you most?
That's a great question. I've actually never gotten that question before. I think that he is able to be unbelievably creative while still having a business mindset. And with that in mind, has always sort of identified the opportunities in the larger landscape to chase creatively. Using Law and Order as an example, Law and Order was an hour-long drama that was born out of the idea that only half-hour formats were being bought into syndication at the time. So can I create in our formats, which is what primetime television is calling for, that could be syndicated as 2 half hours, which is the basic idea of Law and Order, right? You have a half-hour investigation and then a half-hour trial. So with that in mind, I think he's just unbelievably business savvy and is able to use the creative instincts to fit opportunities in the larger industry that I haven't seen a lot of other people be able to balance the two as well as he has. And that's what I strive to do and I've taken a lot of inspiration from, for sure.
That's cool. I mean, I think that having that balance is essential, and you want to be creative in business and being an entrepreneur. But sometimes you can kind of get caught up on one side, and the other kind of lacks some of that attention. So it's definitely something important to focus on. It's good you learned that. So you're in an interesting area. I mean, you're in this area of generative gaming, and like there's a lot of talk about what generative AI can do. How did you kind of land on like generative gaming specifically, and like what drew you to that, and why do you think there's so much potential in that concept?
So how we got to the team and so forth is one story, and then how we got to the concept that we're building towards is another. Happy to tell both. Maybe I start with the concept.
Yeah, concept first.
The basic idea was that engagement and the idea of being able to create game mechanics within premium storytelling has been chased for a very long time. If you look at more recent swings, Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, and the streamers having several other attempts of less notoriety, trying to build traditional television into interactive choice-based formats, has, I think, been long regarded as a good idea, but it is extremely difficult to execute because the cost of a single episode with the most basic choices is still 3, 4, 5 times as expensive as a linear episode because you have to account for all of those choices. And with the traditional workflow, you still weren't getting enough choice to the point that you were somewhere between this lean back and lean in experience that wasn't fully a game, but was still too demanding to be what I think a lot of people chase for with watching a television show, which is unwinding or relaxing in some capacity. That being said, you see those engagement mechanics at work with mobile gaming to a different extent with TikTok. And I was really fascinated around the idea of building at this intersection of television and gaming with those mechanics while maintaining the quality of storytelling. The idea that you can tell a really compelling story through a fully gamified experience that ideally people can do often too, right? I don't want to go off and build one, whether it be story, case, or level every 3 years. I want to be able to deliver it to a facet that people can come to expect it as part of their daily routine. But, in my mind, the most fun version of a brain exercise and success of doing it right.
So you were interested in this like this different form of entertainment that was more engaging, but not as intensive, almost.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, with AI and more broadly technology, I personally am of the belief that it's sort of a fool's errand to try and streamline existing workflows and so forth. It's frankly inserting yourself in, I think, a very human process. But there is net new opportunities that stem from the technology, unlocking entertainment formats that I just don't think would ever otherwise be possible. Mm-hmm. Creating the idea for a story and then creating the amount of choice necessary to make it a truly gamified format is such a heavy lift that it's cost prohibitive to the point that we just wouldn't be able to do it, even if we were really passionate about that story. But with the technology supplementing the human creativity, you now can. So for me, what's most exciting about this company at a really high level is chasing these net new opportunities. It's a format that we haven't seen before because it simply wasn't, perhaps it was possible, but in no means fiscally responsible to the point that it could become a business and we could be hiring a group of people to go out and do this. So that's what's really exciting to me.
Mhm. So you've got a really impressive team that you put together, separate even from just the investors slash advisors. You have your own accomplishments, but you've got Andrew and Noah on, and Noah had the first generative AI app to reach #1 on the App Store. That's pretty interesting. I mean, now a generative AI is all over. I mean, everyone's talking about it all the time. There's tons of interesting generative AI applications. And Andrew also is impressive in his own right. How did this trifecta here come together?
Yeah. So Andrew and I have known each other for about 7 years now. I originally met him while working at Wolf Entertainment. We were producing a show for Fox, and we needed someone who could think through a social media strategy for us. And we had a mutual friend and the line producer of that show. And he introduced me to Andrew, and over email, with the rest of the producers on the chain. I said, Andrew, any interest in talking about building out the social strategy for the show with us? And he honestly said, no, I don't. And then I emailed him on the side. I said, I'm separately building out the digital strategy for Wolf Entertainment, and the social strategy sort of to build a unified storefront across all our programming. Would that interest you? And he said, yeah, that might interest me. So we then met. Our first meeting, he came in a suit and the whole thing, and we started jamming. And after like an hour and a half, the takeaway was, let me come back in jeans and a tee, and let's properly hit the whiteboard and really think through this. And that following whiteboard session led to him coming on in a consulting role and really building out that digital strategy with me. And that was I think 4 or 5 year arrangement where he was separately working on some other things, but we were jamming together on strategy stuff. And I was fascinated with this intersection of TV and gaming, and I really believe that it was just ripe to be cracked at the time. And we started talking around what that opportunity could look like, and realized I actually was thinking about specific games, and then to all the points that I made before, it was just really cost prohibitive. Then we started thinking about a larger vision for how we could actually execute on those game ideas. And Noah is Andrew's childhood, one of his best friends, and he was a partner with him in a previous startup that they did called Sundial. And Andrew was like, I think you got to meet Noah. And the three of us got together, all shared this same vision, and said, let's go do this thing.
That's how you have it. There we go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you raised 4 million seed funding. You also brought in a lot of strategic people. How did that whole round kind of come together? I mean, you've got like a lot of strategic people on multiple fronts. I mean, Jimmy Iovine, he's an excellent brand builder with what he did at Beats. Obviously, Interscope too. You have Paul, who chairman of UTA. I mean, that's the world of talent. You've got the right people, and of course, you have your dad too. How did that kind of all come together this round, and how did you think about bringing in the right kind of investors for you to get to this place of this generative AI, gaming company?
Yeah. So Paul introduced us to Jimmy. Jimmy's a huge fan of the crime genre, and we actually met with Paul and was like, you got to go talk to Jimmy. So we went and talked to Jimmy the same day, and Paul really helped put the pieces together of the whole thing. For Dick, I think it was a really simple vision of being the tip of we share the same belief of this intersection of television and gaming being a huge opportunity, and for him it was about being the tip of the spear. He was like, yes, get out there and do it first. I think we both believe that there's a huge first mover advantage for this stuff, and also the way the world's working. I think that the moats of the future are not technology based; they're brand and audience based. And
interesting.
For that point as well, being a first mover is just that much more important. So it really came together somewhat quickly, and we were very lucky to have people who understood the opportunity by the nature of being in the same business and recognizing the shifting landscape as we did. So it came together somewhat quickly, and feel very lucky to have them.
So you just made an interesting point, like around how you think the future is not about the technology, but it's about the brand. I mean, you think that because technology is just advancing so fast and stuff is just getting replaced so quickly that it's now about the IP, which I could probably create some IP, but I guess humans will just still probably do it best.
Yeah, I actually don't necessarily believe that AI can create IP in the same capacity that a human can, even in the long term. I think that the best stories have a human element to them that are irreplaceable. The real opportunity with technology is about extending that IP and making it accessible to a wider fan base on a more regular basis, while becoming increasingly specific to the individual as well. So I don't know that AI will ever create, let's say Harry Potter or IP like Harry Potter. I don't personally believe in that future.
So
I do
complex.
believe that as a fan of Harry Potter, you will be able to eventually see that story through Hermione's perspective or Ron's perspective, and technology can certainly help take the existing story and flip that perspective, or on a more procedural level, help expand the ways in which you can actually engage with that IP. Take any of our franchises. Really, what you're doing is sitting down. At least with our, let's focus on the police dramas. You're sitting down and taking the ride to solve a crime in some capacity, but you've never been able to have your hands on the wheel. I believe that, to my earlier point, tech can actually allow you to have your hands on the wheel in a very fun way, but you're going to want to have your hands on the wheel in an IP universe that you already love. So I think the combination of popular IP with technology leads to a whole new host of opportunities. I am happy. I'm excited to be proven wrong as the world continues to embrace the technology. I think that there are a lot of storytellers out there that never had the means of getting their stories made in some capacity, who will now be able to bring those stories to life. And I hope to stand corrected in the fact that someone, without navigating the studio system in any capacity, or a major publisher, is able to build IP that people really love and build a brand around. But I wouldn't bank on AI doing that. I still think that that's really the human driving that, and using tools of then bringing that story to life, and that's already in their head.
Yeah, we just have this incredible ability to create and just have creativity it's unmatched. We haven't seen anything like it from computers yet, so hope it stays that way.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it will. I think that the beauty of imagination is the fact that it is imagination, and what stories really resonate with us today are stories that feel new and different.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that with AI so much as you are means of then extending or exercising those ideas once they're popular.
So for Elliot, for those that don't know, what is Public Eye? What's it all about? What makes it different?
So Public Eye is our first game, and it's a format, really. It's a murder mystery game. every day, once released, you'll be able to solve a murder case through the evidence of the case, the interviews with the suspects. But you're not only trying to prove, or you're not only saying who did it, but you're trying to prove they did it by pointing to how and why. So to me, it's the most fun version of a daily brain exercise. I would argue for those who play the New York Times crossword, and I'm sure that there's going to be someone listening who's like, no, I do. But the majority of people don't remember the words in the crossword 3 days later. They don't remember the wordle of the day a week after. The idea is that we can create that same brain exercise and that same fun, but with characters that stick with you and stories that stick with you. And for me, it was twofold. Starting with the crime genre, it's what I know best as a storyteller. That's where my background is in writing and producing. But also, there's no higher stakes than life and death in this fictional world. So I think it really empowers the user to make decisions that in this fictional world matter, which and help in a way that matters. So I think life and death as a storyteller is grounds for such great drama, and this is bringing that level of drama as a game to you every day.
So is there something like also about the way you interact with it that like just makes it a different type of experience?
Yeah, so it's a chat-based experience, but it has video, photo, audio, and feels extremely immersive. So the idea is that you're working with the police department to solve this case. They've launched this app. The game is set 3 years in the future. You don't really feel a futuristic tone so much as it just creates a level of separation. And I think you want to feel like this is a fictional world. We are dealing with a heavy subject matter, and in the stakes of life and death, you want it to feel fictional to a certain extent. So it's set 3 years in the future, and you are interacting with this app. This app is asking you for help, and you are sort of paired with the app. The app is your Watson if you're Sherlock in solving the case. So the app has its own sort of, I guess you could call it attitude. It's a fun partner to work with, which I think brings a lot of life to the game as well.
So what's your vision now, Elliot, for this company, for Wolf Games, just in general? Like, how do you see generative AI changing the gaming world? How do you see your company being at the forefront of that? Like, what is like the master plan, the 5 to 10 year vision, let's say?
So I can give the 5 to 10 year vision and a couple steps along the way. I think first and foremost for us, Public Eye is a really compelling, fun daily experience. And I think it's a great proof of a new type of game format. I think you've seen detective games out in the market, and there's a lot of really popular ones that have great storytelling, but they have a new chapter every 5, 6, 7 months. And by the time you solve the case and you're ready for the next, you're waiting to the point that you completely forget about the game. Our hope is we can be as fun, probably hopefully more fun than those games, but give you something every single day. So that's the first step, is getting to the point where we can deliver on that promise with really compelling storytelling, characters that you care about, a world that you care about. And the next step for us is then also looking at IP that's out there. And to our earlier conversation, saying, how can we add to that fan base? How can we give them something else to interact with that they really love? And if you look at television more broadly speaking, you are building a really meaningful fandom with pretty few swings at bat, if you will. Most streaming orders are 8 to 10 episodes per season. Network TV is 22 episodes per season. That's, let's call it for network, less than half the year that you're getting a new installment once a week. But you're building fandom through that exercise and IP through that exercise that you can't really replicate through other formats. That being said, other formats can certainly allow the fan base to engage with the IP every day once it's there and they already love it, right? So we are really excited about working with existing IP to be able to tell what we consider the stories between the stories, and daily chapters or cases or levels that feel immersive to that IP universe or world, but can become a habit for your daily commutes, for your lunch break, or wherever you choose to play a game.
Yeah, well, I'm just excited to see this all come to life, and the trailer looks really awesome. So, I think everything will be pretty great from there. But that was all the questions that I had, Elliot. I appreciate taking the time and doing this. I think you're in a really cool space with generative AI, and you're using it in a way that's innovative and different. And we need more people doing stuff like that. So I'm definitely rooting for you, and looking forward to what's next.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and I hope you check out Public Eye. We start our closed beta next month, and then the game will be coming out after that. So I'll send you a case.
Cool.